First and foremost, one thing that I've learned is that success is a process. It's a journey that one needs to walk each day, and it's not a quick fix thing. And what I've learned in life is that things that comes quick don't last. So the things that last long in life are things that you build gradually, and the things that are built gradually, it's those that you can sustain for a longer time. So for me, success, it's one thing that you'd have to work through in life and be patient with yourself as you walk through it and take it day by day to build that. So success is a process, it's a journey. Life is not difficult in itself. Yes, one would say you don't know what you're talking about. I believe the difficulty of life comes in the lessons that one does not learn. I think the difficult times in life, the lessons, they come for us to learn.
I think the most important thing is if you just think about how you dream about your future or how you dream about what you want to achieve, you never factor in obstacles. You never factor in the fact that some of the things won't work out. Every time when you are thinking about your dream, you are thinking about where you want to go, you're thinking about what you want to achieve. Everything that you see is just green robot, or green traffic light. And you don't imagine that there will be obstacles, you don't imagine that there will be detours, places where things that you thought were going to work out do not work out. So what's important then for us, especially when we talk to other people who maybe are younger than us or are coming up, or people who haven't yet experienced certain things, is to say, yes, it's wonderful to dream about an ideal state that does not have mistakes, that does not have challenges. But what's even more important is that when you execute, when you are walking through your journey, when you do meet those obstacles and when you do meet those challenges, you deal with them. It doesn't mean that's the end of your dream or that's the end of the road for you. So the fact that they are there should not change your dreams, should not change where you are going. And sometimes we focus so much on the pain that we forget that this is an event. So remember, failure is not who you are. You are not a failure. Failure is an event. You failed the subject. Your business failed, your marriage failed, your relationship failed, but you did not fail. You are not a failure. So one of the key things that most of us are not able to do, we are not able to separate the event from who we are. We think the failure is us. We think we are the failure. So it's very important for you to be able to separate the event from who you are. Then the second thing, now that you've separated the event from who you are, is for you to realize that the pain is fine. There's nothing wrong with the pain, but don't dwell on the pain. Don't allow the pain to define who you are. Don't allow yourself to be swallowed by the pain.
And that is the challenge introverts have, because when you do something, you kind of like the only audience is you. But you need to go out there. People need to hear your songs. People need to hear your poems. People must see what is it that you've been practicing on all those years or all those months. So I had fear, but in me I said, even though I had this fear, I must ship this thing. I must keep going, because whatever that I'm doing, I need somebody else too who's in the same state that I am to go out and ship their work. Is one of the most challenging work. Because when you're alone, when you sing in your bathroom and nobody is critiquing your singing skill, it's very easy. But when you go out there and somebody say, I think you can change this and this and this and this and this and this and that, then now you know that, you know what, this, like, the career has just started. The profession has just started. So for me, I wrote many songs, but I told myself that it's time to go out. It's time to meet people. It's time to be vulnerable out there. We want to take many years to do something before we can go out there. And it's not a bad thing to practice for a very, very long time, but to test where you are, you need to go out so that you can see where you are So somebody can say, you know what, you're good at this, but I think you can develop this and this and this and this and this and that, you know. So I think it's something that I told myself that I'm gonna do. Yeah, you need to remember that the more you hold back, it becomes a habit. You end up, it's like those kids who have books in their homes but they don't read them. It's like, or you don't wanna borrow them to anybody. You just have those books but you don't read them. You don't want anybody to read a couple of chapters. You don't do that. So you need to go out there. You need to expose yourself. You get embarrassed, it's okay. It's a learning curve. Nobody has it figured it out. You know, we're still trying to find our feet. So the habit comes from reading various books and having, you know, when you do something for a very long time, and then when you get accustomed to, when somebody tells you that this thing is impossible, you just say, no, it is possible. This thing is very much possible. So every day I'm developing a habit of saying this thing is possible by reading different kinds of books, so that they can not only change my mind but also challenge my mind. You know, often we don't talk about a challenge, we talk about change, you know. But you need books that are going to challenge your mind. When you read something and somebody tells you something, and then you say, whoa, I never thought that somebody can say something like this. I've been doing this for many years, so now it's challenging me. You know, it challenges the current habits that you have in your life. Actually, when you are somebody who feels like there's something wrong with this world, when you feel like there's something that needs to be changed, especially when you feel like even the government is failing you, you feel like everybody around you is not doing enough, so sitting in your corner is not gonna help, you know. So if you look at all the great heroes that we had, Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, those people went out. Today we can say, I can be or a young man in America, a black young man can say, I can be a president because of Barack Obama showed me that this is possible, you know. And so if you don't go out there, we're always going to believe that presidency is only for white people, presidency is only for this kind of people, you know. But when somebody becomes the first person to do something, and then now people start to wake up and say, this thing is possible. We black people can become this thing. We can actually do it. You know what? We are people. We are also entitled for this. It's not about skin. It's all about whether you are willing to take the risk, work hard, and take all the opportunities that comes your way. Look, everybody's telling their story. Everybody is telling you about what worked for them. And some certain things you can apply in your life, they can work, and some cannot work. So just have multiple mentors, people who can teach you this. And when that person, you feel like, you know what, this person, I think we have reached the tipping point, it's time to go to another person who's going to teach you something else. The problem is that we stick to one person, we expect that person to teach us everything, but it's impossible. Nobody knows everything. So for me, the hardest question that I've ever asked myself is, am I really good enough? And it's not only that question, but the second question that I've asked myself is that all the people who are progressing and I'm not progressing, am I jealous of them? Is my lack of collaboration with them, in other words, is jealousy the main cause of lack of collaboration with them? Because sometimes you become jealous of somebody to that point that you cannot associate with them, you cannot collaborate with them. And the more I asked myself those deep questions, is the more I said, you know what, I need to do something about this thing. I need to acknowledge that this person didn't achieve this thing because of luck. They worked very hard. And when you become jealous of somebody, when you become envious of somebody, you are blocking the chances of ever working with that person. You are blocking the chances of ever seeking help from that person, because there's always a reason that is blocking you. And the hardest question that I spoke about first is, am I that good enough? This is the reason why I cannot go to the next level, because of this question. Am I good enough? When I want to do something, am I good enough? When I want to do something, am I good enough? Am I good enough? So these are the questions that I asked myself, until one day I said, yeah, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm not saying that I'm gonna do it perfectly, but I'm gonna do it.
Academic excellence is actually principles that are directed to especially students who are still in school, who wants to excel in their academics. These are actually principles that activate self-assessment, self-evaluation, self-discipline towards one's academic life. When we talk about academic excellence, we are talking about the principles that sharpen one or an individual for an excellent academic result in any field. Whichever the course you're doing, academic excellence is actually principles that are based on making one to excel in the academics. Remember, the word excellence, even though the dictionary may describe it anyway, the excellence means the ability. You see, the ability to be correct, the ability to be righteous. Excellence is actually to say, this is not enough. You know, many people, they just do something. Let me give you an example. Like, if you enter into a plane and the pilot says to you, guys, we are not sure if we are going to arrive where we are going, but then you can enter, let's go. You see, you cannot enter such a plane because you're risking your life. But when you go to the airport, you expect that the plane is perfect to fly you where you are to your destination. So excellence actually means the ability to be correct in academics. So remember, principles, it doesn't matter at which field you are. You know, life is based on principles. Like, I remember we used to talk, myself and you, about life being based on principles. It doesn't matter you're educated or not educated, there are principles that are governing the system of this world. E.g., when we talk about the force of gravity, if you're rich, when you jump you come down. If you're poor, when you jump you come down. It's a principle preordained by God that it will govern each and every person. It will rule. This is a principle. So when you talk about these principles, they are academic principles. Whether your academics or your finances, whichever way you want to excel, you can actually apply these principles and boom, you can have results in every field. Remember, we spoke even about how they helped me to run my businesses, and here I am. You know, these principles actually, they originated from campus. When I was still in campus, we used to have a pastor called Pastor Derek. He was based in Medunsa. So he's the one actually who drafted these principles and gave them to every student who was, you know, interested in making it better in their academics. So we went there, we were invited, and one of the first things they told us is that take this thing and run with them. They will help you in campus and out of campus. That's where I got introduced to these principles. As any student may face challenges, I was facing challenges also in my academics here and there. I got to meditate on these principles, and they really made me who I am, because I started to contemplate on the person I am and what I want to become, thinking of where I'm coming from and thinking of where I'm going to. So I started to learn these principles because we were instructed that take these principles,
it doesn't matter which course you're doing or which field you are willing to to take. If you take these principles and run with them, the Bible says, write the vision down and it shall come to pass. Even though it takes time, it shall come to pass. This we find in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. So I took this thing, Johannes, and then I ran with them. That's where I got introduced to them. In campus, one of the things that I love, and it's what is happening to you now. You are telling me you were teaching about this to other students and they got to be interested. These principles do not belong to me, or I cannot say I own them and people must not. You can actually take these principles far as you want because they work. A principle is actually a law to yourself. It is actually your way of life. In Hebrew word, it is named modus operandi, meaning one's way of life. You become a law to yourself, Johannes. You say, I as Johannes, I'm not gonna do this. Your no has to be no, and your yes has to be yes. So a principle is that mindset you build, within yourself to say, this is me, and these are the things that govern me. Because as a person, you need to have convictions. A man without conviction, he just becomes anyhow and he lives anyhow. This is why you just become anything. So you see, even when you go to the field and you start plowing the ground and you sow, these are the things you sow in your mind, and you so overcharge yourself with them that they control how you speak, they control how you think, and they control your decisions. Because there are three things that are very important in life, which is relationships, your actions, and your decisions. They define a man, and they determine what you become and what you will be in life. So a principle, in a simplest term, means the beliefs that you have invested in yourself that govern your actions. One person asked Bishop David Oyedepo, is one of the successful pastors in the world. He said, what do you take to stay up, because you are a diligent man? He said, responsibility. When you know that you have responsibilities, you will wake up. And another thing is to avoid distractions. We spoke about there are a lot of distractions today, especially today. There are a lot of distractions. There are a lot of useless activities happening around us that if you're not careful, you may fall away. That's where the vision becomes blurry now. Because even the Bible says, have a single eye so that your whole body may have light. But what that means is that to have a single eye means do one thing at a time. Focus on one thing. You can't focus on certain things that are not beneficial to you. That's what we spoke about last time, that you need to cut some friends, you need to cut some habits,